Hey everyone, Dev with Crime Hive, and in this true crime video, we're talking about missing person Fauna Frey, and I've got a couple other updates as well. As I finish with this case, we'll give a quick update on the Tiger King mystery. There's a new theory out there, and then we will talk about the disturbing crime of the week, if you will, and it involves a man traveling with his wife who was deceased. So we'll talk about that as well. Before I do, again, this is Dev with Crime Hive. If you like these kind of true crime videos, just be sure to subscribe. You can hit the bell notification to all, and you can receive all updates when I come out with new videos on this case or other cases. So let's talk about this case right now. We have Fauna Frey right here. This is a picture of her, and I'll have some other pictures as well as we go through. And she's been missing since the end of June, and we'll talk specifics here. But this is the vehicle that she was last known to be driving, and we'll talk about that as well. Just wanted to have this up here because there's a hashtag going around. It's hashtag findfaunafrey, and there's a lot of discussions, a lot of social media, and people just want answers. Her family's obviously very distraught, and I'm really going off of this article here. Here's a better picture of her as well, where you can see her enlarged here with this article here. I'm looking at NBCnews.com. Family, friends are continuing this search. She's been missing since June 29th, and what happened is, and I'll refer to my notes here too as we go through it. So missing since June 29th. She's described as 5'6", about 135 to 150 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. She was last seen wearing a neon green and purple pullover, capri pants, and a dark t-shirt. Now, a couple things about this case, and her father, who's been very active in this case, John Frey, has claimed that he searched half of Oregon. He's actively searching. I've heard he's been staying in his vehicle, living in his vehicle essentially as he continues to search, and nothing has been found. Investigators have been investigating this case for some time, and we've learned some things. So we know just a little background about her that could be important and may not, but she's had some pretty tragic situations in her life. Her mother passed in 2004. Her sister then passes in 2006. And then we learn that her brother Dallas died of a heart attack. And this was on June 19th. So this is what kind of leads to her leaving where she resided. And so her brother dies June 19th. Everybody's obviously very distraught. And they were, a tight-knit family from all accounts. It looks like there was a family business that was run. They would build and sell homes in that area. And she was basically, so she lived in Dexter, okay? That's where she was temporarily residing. And she was going to make this drive to Grants Pass, Oregon. And this was on June 27th. So the reason she decides to make this drive is going back to her brother passing away. There's a friend of hers, apparently, don't know this person, don't know who this friend is. Apparently there's a friend, and you've got Fauna, who's going to drive there and give this friend personal belongings of Dallas, right? So Dallas has these personal belongings, don't know exactly what these belongings are, but she was going to make this drive and give them to this friend. So what happens is she makes the drive. We've learned from video surveillance and other records, which we'll talk about, that she did make this drive, and she's driving this 2000, specifically it's a 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It has Oregon plate 339 EYB. So very, and this is very active. The reason I mention this plate is investigators have not found her vehicle. So again, she's got this vehicle here. Last seen driving that vehicle around, nobody's seen it. I don't know where it's at. And they've combed all over the area. So a couple theories on that. It could be deep in the woods somewhere. She did buy some items we'll talk about later that suggested maybe she was going to go camping or do something outside, but we don't really know. So what happens from this drive is she leaves apparently with no cell phone, and no computer. And her father says that she took this burner phone with her. So I don't know what this burner phone is. I don't know why she decides to use this as opposed to her phone. Could be many reasons. Maybe she wants to disconnect from social media and all these other things, and maybe she just puts a few numbers in this burner phone and only uses it when she needs to. I'm not quite sure, but she doesn't bring her cell phone with her. She brings this burner phone with her, and then she ends up checking into a Super 8 motel in Grants Pass. So just to give you an idea of what we're looking at here, you've got Dexter, Oregon here, and then you've got Grants Pass. So it's about 54, well, that's on walking right now. I think it's not too far away. So you're looking at about 2 hours, 21 minutes, not terribly far. She decides to check into this hotel, which she does. There's cameras. We have cameras that show that. Now, she then goes there. She apparently makes a phone call to her father. Her father did say that she sounded distressed over this phone call. Obviously still feeling emotion from her recent brother's passing and possibly some other things. Don't know the full story there, but she, father suggests, why don't you make a reservation? Maybe get out. So she decides to make a reservation at this We Ask You Inn for the next day. So she apparently makes this reservation online. She then goes out and she makes 2 credit card purchases. There's one from Fred Meyer and there's one from Big Five, which is in the area. And when we're looking at this area, very, I would assume there's a lot of travel through here. I mean, you're looking at the Pacific Highway right here. The hotel or the Super 8 is just right off that. You've got a ton of other hotels around there. Hampton Inn, you've got the Quality Inn, ton of them. If you zoom in, and then you've even got these RV areas. So it's pretty interesting area. I'm sure there's a lot of people that come and go through there, and then you've got some pretty big rivers that are along this area, and we'll talk about that as well. So that's kind of the area of what we're looking at. But anyway, she does go, and I just have this mapped here for the drive to the Fred Meyer. So if I zoom out here, it's only about an 8-minute drive to this Fred Meyer. And we know that she did go there. The Big Five is nearby that as well. She's around in that area. And she makes some personal purchases. A couple of the items that I saw that she had purchased, that they said, things like tennis shoes, shampoo, conditioner. She bought some food items, sandwich and chips. She bought a lantern. Apparently she bought flashlights. I saw an account that was flashlights with an S, multiple flashlights. So not sure exactly what she was up to, what she was planning on doing. Again, she has this burner phone. I'm sure police have, are kind of wondering. I mean, they have her cell phone at home, so she doesn't have that with her. So kind of difficult for them to track that. They may be able to do that. Some burner phones do allow. There are, depending on if she's registered, if she actually went online and registered this phone, there are some things that law enforcement can do to help track the potential location. Not sure how that's panned out. I haven't really heard anything about that. If you have, let me know. If there's any updates on that. If you're familiar with this case, let me know if there's any updates on that. And so what we learned from the purchases after that, she then was last seen leaving the hotel on the 29th. So this is the last time that she's been seen. She leaves it between 8:30 and 9 a.m. Surveillance confirmed this information. Now, this is where it gets a little strange. She never does check into this We Ask You Inn. So she never makes that. So she's leaving about 8:30, 9 a.m., right? And I look at the website here for the inn, and I was just kind of scrolling through, and it says that there is a check-in time here. If you look way at the bottom, and I'll go all the way to the bottom here where it talks about check-in times. Well, it's somewhere in here. Let me just find it real quick. So I believe it was 3 p.m. that this check-in time was. So she had some time to burn while she was, waiting to check in for this room here. So I thought I had it. Here we go. Okay, so check-in is at 3 p.m. Check-out is at 12. she's got some time during the day. So I don't know if she's going out. Did she plan to go on a hike? Did she go somewhere temporarily? Hard to know for sure. That's the last known whereabouts. So her vehicle has still not been found, which is odd. A lot of people have mentioned that there are a lot of accidents in that area, and who knows? There's been some really, really grisly accidents out there, really, really bad, and then there's been a few other theories that we'll talk about here in just a minute. The father thought, there's drug cartels and human trafficking in Southern Oregon, and that's apparently a huge issue, right? So just to show you an example, this was from October of 2019, huge indictment there with 41 people of a Mexican drug trafficking operation. I'm just going to play this small clip just to give you an idea of what's going on out there
today
in that
showed
area.
us some of the evidence that's been seized in this case, which includes $250,000 in cash, 51 guns, and more than 100 pounds of drugs. This investigation started a year ago when confidential informants came forward to Gresham police detectives. From there, the case grew to include Homeland Security investigations, the FBI, and the U.S. Department of Justice. Investigators say 2 drug traffickers in Mexico worked closely with 2 Portland-based cell leaders to run this operation, which included a network of drug dealers, stash houses, couriers, drop phones, and a mini market in southeast Portland where investigators say drug money was laundered through international wire transfers. Investigators say these criminals sent guns from the U.S. back to Mexico, too, to strengthen the trafficking operation there. The U.S. Attorney for Oregon says this marks one of the largest takedowns of a drug trafficking organization in the history of our state.
Wow. Yeah, pretty interesting there. So apparently that's a big issue. Father thinks that potentially could be something that may have happened to her. He believes that she may have been abducted. So don't know. Obviously, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. And I'm just curious if you're in that area, what is your take on that? On the human trafficking, drug trafficking in that area? Is it quite an issue? I mean, are there a lot of people disappearing over there? Is it getting out of control? I don't really know. Like to hear your thoughts on that in the comments below. And then the other just recent issue, obviously, is we've got the fire issues going on over there. A lot of fire, a lot of smoke, people being displaced from their homes, and that's obviously making it even more difficult. Now, if perhaps she were injured or something of that nature out in the wilderness, you've got these fires. There's just so many different variables that are going on. We don't know. She's been missing for some time, though. That's the thing that's a little disturbing about this. It's not like she just went camping, perhaps maybe to unplug for a week or a few weeks. We're looking at several months now. We're in September, and she's been missing. So if you do have information, there is a $25,000 reward. Looks like it's being offered with any information about her whereabouts. And if you have any information, again, you can call the Josephone County Sheriff's Office. It's at 541-474-5117. So again, I'll keep you updated on that case as I learn more. Just wanted to create awareness for that. And then what I want to do is I'm just going to transition to the update that I have for the Tiger King video that I had made before. We're starting to learn about this new theory that's going on with what may have happened to Don Lewis. And so what we've learned recently from there's a 48-hour special that I had mentioned, and in which you've got this ex-husband of this woman named Trish Farr Payne. She says that her husband Kenny Farr may have played some role in the disappearance of Don Lewis, and thinks that maybe he put Don Lewis in a grinder. And so what we've learned, I'm not going to cover much on this update, but what we've learned from the show, the 48 Hours Suspicion, is that we know that that Kenny used to work for Carole Baskin, and apparently he had threatened to put her. So this is coming from the ex, right? This is the ex-wife saying that her husband once threatened to put her in the grinder like I did Don. Okay, and this was shortly after his disappearance. So she's coming forward with this information, and she says, I thought he was telling the truth. And at the time I thought, at least that is probably the turning point where I knew deep down that Kenny has some part in Dawn's not ever coming back. I knew then for sure. So she's coming forward with that information. Another thing that was mentioned was one night after Lewis went missing, Farr had returned home, in Lewis's van with Lewis's collection of firearms, saying that Dawn's gone and that she shouldn't mention his name anymore, especially on the telephone. So really interesting. And I talked about some of the other details like the freezer that was on the porch and that sort of stuff earlier, but I just wanted to give that update because that's really starting to spiral. This theory is coming out, and don't know if it's real, don't know if it's true, just given the information because it's obviously a mystery that police have not been able to solve after so many years, but they are continuing to look in any new updates. So they will be looking into this. We can imagine that. And that's the end for that update. And then the last thing I just want to cover in this video is just really, I guess I'm calling it the disturbing crime of the week, if you will. It's just something that stuck out, in which a man here was he was caught. He basically traveled with his girlfriend's body parts in bags, in suitcases, and he took a Greyhound, a 5-hour Greyhound, and actually traveled 5 hours to visit his family in Illinois. He leaves from Louisville, Kentucky, and his name is Melvin Martin, and apparently, he literally kills and dismembers his girlfriend, and we learned that he takes her with him, goes and travels to his family's home. Family actually picks him up. He has the luggage with his girlfriend's body parts in there, and then we learn that the family kind of became suspicious. And I'll play a quick little clip of the 911, but and this is just a quick synopsis of this incident. But what we know is it looks like the girlfriend was killed at least 30 days ago from that. So he travels. They later discover her torso in a park late Wednesday afternoon. He later confesses to, because they only found half of her body apparently. Other half was found in another location. So he admits to this. He had stuffed his girlfriend's head, lower torso, and organs into 3 bags apparently. So he then travels those 5 hours, comes back to the family, and then the family thinks it's a little strange because he's guarding these suitcases for 5 days, they say. So they're like, we need to get him away from these bags. So, they start smelling this foul odor. And so the mother talks about she kind of distracted him, got him out of the house so she could take a look at the suitcase. So I'll play the quick little 911 call of that when the mother discovers what she thinks is a body. And then that will conclude that. But it's just a very bizarre case, very disturbing things that are going on out there right now.
Yes, can somebody get here immediately, please?
It's a call a mother never expects to make, but Melvin Martin Jr.'s mom felt compelled to do so.
And what type of package is it? Was it in your mailbox? I don't know. No. I picked my son up he's from Kentucky. I picked him up because he was coming home. He was having a hard time. But he took this suitcase in my garage. I just took him to the library. I said, let me see what's in this suitcase.
Martin is accused of killing his girlfriend, then dismembering her. Cops say he hopped on the Greyhound bus from Kentucky to the Harrison station in downtown Chicago with those bags. After 5 days of guarding the suitcase in the garage, his mother finally opened it.
And it looked like it's a body in there.
Turns out there were pieces of a body, a head, lower torso, and organs. Martin's accused of committing that crime a month ago in Louisville, and listen to why police say Martin brought her to Illinois.
Well, he indicated that, as grotesque as it might sound, that he still wanted to be with her, at least part of her.
Wow. Still wanted to be with her, a part of her, and that's why he took her with him. So very disturbing. Obviously, that's a pretty crazy case that they're actively dealing with there. And that's the end of this video. I just wanted to give really the awareness on missing Fauna Frey and then give you a couple other updates. And I'll be back with another video. Again, this is Dev with Crime Hive. You all take care. Thanks.